And hey, y'all. Hey, I'm Ben. Welcome to the very first Sunday Night Something. We tried this a couple months ago, or a while ago. I lose track of time. What's up, Trexalist? But yeah, so we tried this a little while ago, but I thought, we got this new record coming out, and I've, never really gone through sort of the whole existence of the band and all of its songs, so why not? Is this mic feeling all right to you? Is that level cool? Does that sound okay? Yeah, so, tonight, so for the next couple weeks, just breaking it down, we are going to be going over sort of the meanings and sort of set and setting of slash like an oral history of the band organized by each release. And tonight we're going to be going over the origins of the band and our first EP or full length, depending on when it was released and whether or not Spotify heard it yet. Spotify counts it as a full album. Apparently 8 tracks is enough. If 8 is enough for Pusha T, 8 is enough for me. So yeah, I learned tonight that the easy way I was told to get the music to play doesn't actually work. So we're just gonna chat, and maybe if I remember to and I feel good about it and not too anxious, I might play one of the songs or something. But how are you guys? We got the chat going. How are you guys' nights? I hope the day hasn't been too hard. Boom. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, but I couldn't figure that out. So I'll get that next time. Andy, I'm talking to Andy there. Appreciate the heads up. Yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. But where was I? Oh yeah, so my day's been pretty good. I got off of work at like 5 or 5:30. I work at a dispensary, a medical dispensary here in Lancaster. This was a kind of a tough week for me. I had a meeting. I on Wednesday I had a doctor's appointment with a neurologist that specializes in dysautonomia, which another doctor told me I have, and so I'm trying to narrow down exactly what kind, and unfortunately the medical system is very frustrating, and what they needed ahead of the meeting that they were supposed to be sent, they weren't. So I essentially made an appointment to make an appointment. So I'll have to go through a tilt table test, and and I didn't know that. That's cool too. And tilt table test and some other autonomic dysfunction testing, and that's a bummer because I'm sort of as I told my wife, I've grieved over it as the last couple of days, so I'm a little better about talking about it, but I kind of feel like I'm dying all the time, and it's not the most fun, so it's been very frustrating for the last several years trying to get any sort of help other than just drink water, don't do the stuff that's going to make you get sick, which is impossible to predict fully. But yeah, so that was tough, but I did accomplish something this week. I was able to work 35 hours, which a month or two ago was way too much for me, and I almost passed out at work. But yeah, so anyway, enough about my personal stuff. So yeah, tonight we're here to talk about the beginnings of the band. And as I said, the first release, Party for the Grown and Sexy. So, what turned out to... Oh man, there's so many chat. I keep... Is it a thing? Do people forget the chat a lot? Because I forget the chat. I'm do it. I got brain stuff now. Man, okay, I'm going to set up that scene. I'm all caught up. Yeah, you can tell over to you. Nice. I'm glad somebody empathizes. That's great. I'm glad your Sunday's been good. Making progress with yourself. It is absolutely very frustrating. It's good to see y'all. So, beginning of the band. What turned out to be the beginning of the band was actually happened when I was 19, I believe. I wrote what became Because I Spit Hot Fire when I was 18, and one of my best friends, Ashley, convinced me to play at this open mic in her, I think it was in Tawnytown, Maryland. Just like a little cafe. And I did, and it was friggin' terrifying. And that's the last time I really sang in public before this band in most ways, I think. Either that or Andy, that was before that. So I was essentially I never really wanted to sing for a band, but I wrote stuff and I played guitar decently enough. So I was in another band for a little while. I was just playing guitar, as Andy mentioned in the chat, called Supergiant MD. That was it was a weird story. I never really wanted to make it as a musician necessarily, but I always played music. I think I just didn't want to make it because due to the trauma I experienced in life, I was afraid to want something, essentially. Because there was a very deep part of my brain that felt like essentially everything I ever wanted had been taken away from me when I was growing up. So I just learned to not desire things as a survival response. Survival strategy. So anyway, I was in a band called Supergiant MD. They were a cool pop punk band. They were one of my favorite local bands in Baltimore when I was coming up. They seemed to have their shit together the most. And after I got kicked out of my house when I graduated, or a little after I graduated high school, Brian from that band let me stay at their place, and then I kind of just had unstable housing for the next couple of years, and then it just somehow ended up playing with them. We all sort of existed in the same place, and I was good enough at guitar to do that. And then this opportunity came to join this other band that was located down in DC called Underscore. And they were we're going to tour, we're going to do all this stuff. And at the time, I was just drinking. Where in Baltimore? I grew up in Dundalk, Maryland, which is there. It's not Towson. It's just that number 10 line. Shout out to Dundalk. So anyway, I got this chance to join this band, Underscore, and I was just drinking and paying bills, and I was I'm gonna get stuck in. Shout out to Federal Hill. I was just gonna get stuck at where I grew up, and it seemed like a black hole, and I already knew that I had a bit of a problem, and I just thought fuck it, I just need to get out of town. I need something to propel me out of this what I felt was a black hole. So I did. I became homeless. I was sleeping on their friends' basement, in their kids' room, not in a weird way, but I was just bumming it. And then the songs I brought to the table were Do It Again, Because I Spit Hot Fire, the lyrics to The Rent Is Due, and most of the rest of the EP. Ryan and I actually, we'll talk about Caroline Heat a little bit. Anyway, so I brought those songs to the table, and the everybody but the singer told me that we're gonna start over, and you're gonna be the singer for a new band, and it's all on you now. And I was very much fuck that, because you can probably tell I'm not the best at being the guy. I'm not oh fucking check me out all the time. Yes, and I'll die on these streets of Baltimore. But I was I was already homeless. I was already sleeping in a stranger's house for the sake of being in this band. So I was fuck it, let's go. I'd already given up my apartment. There was no going back. So yeah, we did it. And so everybody decided in North Carolina. Essentially, like what I did was ask that the rest of the band like give the guy that was singing like one more shot because they all had some issues that I was apparently coming into, and so he did, and they were like, no, it's not gonna work, and so that whole situation and sort of like what happens next is like what I wrote Carolina Heat about. I don't know why I'm gonna go in this order, but let's just do it vaguely autobiographically. As far as things go. So, man, this is so disjointed. Yeah, I was playing 19, the Supergiant, yeah. So Carolina Heat is about sort of this moment when everybody's pretty set on what they want to do with the band. It's about the beginning of the band. Everybody's set on what they want to do, and I'm still here. Like, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if this is what I want to do. I don't know if I want to share this. You know, those songs that make up this first EP are incredibly intimate. I never really thought anybody would hear them. I brought a couple songs to the table when I was younger, like with Supergiant, for example, and I was just like told that they were just kind of weird. So I thought like, nobody's gonna hear these. Nobody's ever gonna listen. So now I'm finding that like these guys are like, we believe in these so much that they're willing to like start over and do their whole like do this shit all over again. They're like talking to labels and stuff. So I was told. Yeah. So you know what happens is like so we drive home from like trying to record these demos of like Do It Again and our very first song, What Ink Can Really Do, which like isn't on a record. You can find it on YouTube. So like we're dropping everybody off, and you know they had all decided that like this is what we're doing, like you're rising to the occasion. You're gonna be the singer for the band, and like we're unfortunately gonna have to kick the singer of this band like out of his band, one by one everybody's getting dropped off, and everybody has known him the longest and that's been in the band with him the longest is slowly getting out of the vehicle, and there's less and less people that aren't me. So we eventually get to his house, and it's like me and one other dude that like knows him, and then our original bassist, the guy that owned the van that we were in, and he gets out, and like there's just this moment, and I'm like, this is it, like it's either now or this shit probably isn't gonna happen. This is what the guys said they wanted, so I was like, hold on, dude, like, you know, bad news. We're gonna have to kick you out of your band. Like we're gonna start a different band. And he was like, who's gonna sing? And I was like, that's the part I hate saying. It's me. So Carolina Heat is about this whole process of trying to like the internal sort of like battle and journey of like being called or like asked to do something. The process of rising to the occasion, I suppose. You know, I often, you know, it's talking about like we're just getting started, but there's so much potential, and it surrounds the drama of all that. You know, like once we the drama of like starting a band with like this band that was like, you know, at least prominent in the area. Like while we were all playing together locally in Baltimore and DC, and you know, like the people I was staying with were friends with that dude, so like I didn't have a place to stay anymore, so I was like homeless, temporarily. Like a very nice lady named Amy let me sleep on her floor, and that was very nice of her. It's really about the impetus of the band. You know, it can be very tough to starting a very unexpected journey can be scary and not necessarily something you want to do. And that's what Carolina Heat's all about. That quite literally, like we were in North Carolina recording. I didn't know if like anybody in the chat had any questions about Carolina Heat. We can talk about that, but like that's interestingly enough, like we start. You know, the first song to talk about is Carolina Heat, the impetus of the band. Where in North Carolina, were we we were at like, I think the Outer Banks or Hilton Head or something. I don't know. Somebody had like a condo or something. Like everybody in everybody in the band's always had like sort of like more stable or affluent setup than me. Just because of like where I grew up and the situation I was in before I joined the band, and like the situation of me being in the band. So yeah, I think we're in one of those like resorty towns. So that was the beginning of the band, was Carolina Heat. Now, since we don't have the friggin' music for this, we're just gonna listen through it tonight. But there are folks in the chat. They're gonna help me get the music going. So next Sunday, when we go through So Young and Insane, we should be listening to the songs. Brain farts. That's another thing about dysautonomia, is that we often... I am talking fast. I'm nervous. With dysautonomia is I'll like lose my train of thought a lot. Not a lot, but I'll lose my train of thought if I'm kind of going on about something. Before I hit my head when I rambled, I could really go off on some random tangent and then come back to it, but I can't anymore, so bear with me. So why don't I ask you guys, what song do you guys want to hear about next? Y'all are sweet. I appreciate it. North Carolina played a huge role. Where did the Your Skin is Appealing wallpaper? So the Your Skin is Appealing wallpaper, so that, that line to me at the time was just sort of about like, it was weird because like, this has never been my dream. This was not my dream to start with. And so like there was always people like, why aren't you, like folks are mad at me, and I'm like, I didn't want any of this shit. Like I just wanted to stay in the background and hang out and play guitar and like pitch in, like do my part there. Like I wasn't trying to be the center of anything. And everybody was so mad at me. But like I don't know, it was I just saw like a different side of people after I did this thing, which was not great. I got chatting. I saw that Never Shout Never festival. I remember the Never Shout Never festival. It was not a great time with my bandmates. Everyone had just quit the band. We'll get to that in a couple weeks. What are you gonna do? Okay, so was the band inspired by the movie? So the band name. Okay, Platty Cat asked if the band name was inspired by the movie by Miranda July. At its most vague, yes. I just like the way I like the way it sounded, and like I have this habit of like mishearing things and then like misinterpreting them in a way that is like a little more significant to me. So first I did that with the name, but I like the idea that it was like this big band. Like I grew up like listening to a lot of like oldies and bigger band stuff, and some like ska, obviously. And I always had this idea of having like a Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, like horn section and singers, and like this big, Earth, Wind and Fire, like those like you got a big full sound on stage. And I always wanted that, and so I thought we'd be able to, like, that name would capture it. So yeah, it wasn't an interesting way. And interestingly enough, I think this upcoming record, Something Heavy, which will be out on September 17th, is interestingly it's sort of the most, it's like the self-actualization of the band's name. And we'll get into that in a couple weeks. But yeah, so it's interesting how things work out. You just sort of have this half-assed, let's give this a go, because who knows if it'll work out. It's such a long name. Like, gee, if I had known Twitter handles were only going to be 16 characters, I didn't know the internet was going to be so important. I also wouldn't have had the band quit social media so many times. Everybody's like, you're a little band. And I'm like, we're like schmedium. Yeah, that release date was known. So what do we got else here? Yeah, okay, so you're good. Kill the music. It's fine that you were nervous. I'm nervous. You can hear that, right? Oh man, the Hollywood Nights cover, dude, that's tough. If Fartland, all right, Fartland, Fartland brought up a Hollywood Nights cover. I just wanted to say quite specifically, I have a weird superstition about the song Hollywood Nights. I know it's not real. Intellectually, I know it's not real, but when I hear it, there is a less than rational part of me that believes that it is a sign that I'm on the right path in life. Yeah, I don't know. I always hear it at very peculiar moments in very sort of like banal environments, and I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so we can let's take a hop back to Do It Again. Do It Again was another sort of one of the songs I started writing before the band was a band. Do It Again is about really my life at like 19, 20, 21. I was an alcoholic within 6 months to a year of beginning to drink in general, which I said, which is fast. Like, sorry, brain fart. I waited until I was 17 to start drinking. I had like a beer when I was 15, and it was a Budweiser. It was gross, like every rational person would think. So I didn't drink again until, I was like 17 and a half. I was grounded a lot. So, plus, I feel like I'm kind of an odd guy. I'm starting to accept it. But anyway, Do It Again. So yeah, it's just about, coming to realize how much, feeling out of control. I was a very sad, drunk little boy, or little man, I suppose. I had these times where I'd feel bad about, playing the field a little bit while I'm drinking, or like there are these, or having, or essentially like I've put out in this, like I write in the song, like there's a certain point where I was, playing the field, and I didn't feel very good. I didn't feel very good about that, just in general. Like I wasn't cheating on anybody, but I don't know. I'm kind of a softie. One of the ways I noticed that I was an alcoholic was that I cheated on my girlfriend, and it didn't go well. So it was a shitty time. That song's just a big reflection on just sort of being lost and lonely and horny, in all reality, and sort of full of shame. Yeah. In Baltimore, there used to be this thing called Taxidermy Lodge. It was basically like a hipster dance party before I knew there was a name for it. I guess I just thought they played like weird ass music, and there were like weird, interesting people there. But yeah, and sort of it's about that sort of like that like reckless despair, where like you're not yet drinking and driving, but you're making other destructive decisions. It's just about that, and that's sort of like, in writing these songs is like part of how I realized and processed that I needed to get out of where I was, like out of that environment, because I was going down fast. Like when I was 21, I was like drinking until like 2, and then like sleeping where I worked because there was a shower there, and if I was done before 7:30, like nobody had gotten into the office yet because it was in like an old building. So yeah, I was just like crashing on the couch in the law office. Shout out Paul Kokoris, and then getting up in the morning and barely working. Yeah, so it was a lot of writing these songs that helped me realize I had to get out of where I was. It's interesting at the forward motion you realize your life has always had. Time's great. Time's so cool. Any questions about Do It Again? Oh, the name itself. Shit. The name, I'm just like playing with my hair because I'm nervous, and I haven't gotten a cut in a while, and I got these little, what are we doing here things going on. Anyway, the song title, chat, was named, we were playing in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Speaking of Altoona, Pennsylvania, we're putting out something heavy through a label called No Hope in partnership with them, and Ryan, the label manager, used to book shows in Altoona, Pennsylvania, across from the largest Sheetz in existence. Yes, we'll get to Dirty Laundry. So it was named because we were like hanging out with these people afterwards and naturally drinking. I think I had like chugged. No, that wasn't that same show. Anyway. Essentially, somebody was like dancing around. I remember it being like right around the time of like Wow, I Can Get Sexual 2 came out, and the our drummer Paul at the time he like, I don't know what happened, but he yelled that at one of the people that was dancing around in a vaguely sexual manner. Because of the song. Yeah, that's where that song title came from. You're going to find that a lot of the song titles on this album are stupid as shit because I never thought anybody would listen to it. Hell, why would I name it Party for the Grown and Sexy? I can't believe I'm in my house just talking to myself. What the fuck? And like y'all. Was Dirty Laundry. So Muscular Pants, shout out. It was written later. We'll get into that. Let me know if you hear. Hey, how does it keep doing that? Anyway, sorry, I'm not smart. Appreciate your honesty here. I look beautiful. I am beautiful. I know I'm beautiful. That's the thing. I've always wondered why you say my uncle and his mother. So like in Do It Frick Forever says, in Do It Again, I've always wondered why you say my uncle and his mother rather than uncle and grandmother. Well, Frick, that's why it's poetic. My uncle and his mother is syllabically, so like the syllables, while I was writing it, fit better and sound better, and is like a little more poetic. It's the same thing, but it's kind of like roundabout. My uncle and his mother, and like my uncle and grandmother, it just felt like a cooler way of saying it, and it probably fit. Like I was probably like, sometimes when I write the melody, I'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'll be like, okay, I got 6 syllables. I got to fill those. Or like that's my budget. So it might have been that like I just liked the way that my uncle and his mother was sort of like ringing when I wrote it. It was not Wait, was it the Altoona VFW? No, it was like a church. I think it was like a church basement. Killed Music says, what do you remember about the writing process at the time? Do you write a lot of the guitar parts? So Do It Again, actually, I wrote all of Do It Again. That was a whole cloth song. I wrote that whole thing before bringing it to the table. I think all we did... No, I think it was done. Yeah, that was done pretty much like before the band even started. Like I had that basically ready to go. I think that was one of the songs that we were like trying when the different band was a thing. So yeah. I'm feeling reckless and I feel the need to stress this. Man, I haven't thought about those lyrics in a long time. This is cool. So, Do It Again. We've talked about that. If there's nothing else in Do It Again, let's dig into more stuff. I'd be more interested if you were already spoken for. Let's do that one first or next. So as like a fucking softie, I was the other person, or like I was like I don't know what they call it, being like the emotional support of I was like a friend, but it was like vaguely there was like some physical tension there. And I don't know, I was just writing a song about just how it like I knew that what we were doing was not entirely platonic. But I was so lonely. And she was so nice and pretty. But yeah, that song is just sort of a reflection about just being the other guy. Or like the, you know, the complicated friend. Yeah. Yeah, that song's about that and trying not to, you know, making sure you're not actually fucking up by really skirting the line. That's what that tune's about. Do I still keep in touch with any of the... That's interesting. There are more women involved in this in the first couple of songs than I realized. But what's Muscular Pants, what is interesting, or to me at least, is that like rather than like writing about women, I'm writing about like my experience in that situation. So it's like slightly different. It feels slightly different to me. It might not be. Who knows? But let me think. A little bit. I mean, I barely talk to anybody I knew before. I barely talked to anybody I knew before I quit drinking, frankly. So I don't know what we do there. Did anyone ever reach out to talk about them as the subject? Or reach out? Like, did anybody ask Lindsay? I'm not sure. Like, no, nobody ever, like, I mean, yes, people have asked me to write songs about them, or, like, been a little self-conscious about it. But I've always tried to keep that... I've always tried to keep that for myself. I can't really... Which goes to show you, like, how, you know, for the most part, what life was like for me, and what I was doing with my life. But yeah, no, I don't really talk to people, that I grew up with. Dorake, do any of the lyrics, have any reference to my queerness? Oh my god, Dorake 5. No. Fucking nothing does. Like, I didn't figure this shit out until like a year or two ago. You know, so a little bit about me, Drake. Physical and mental abuse started for me when I was about 3 years old. Gay shouted. I lived an incredibly rough life. It includes a year of kidnap and torture by my father and stepmother. And having like very awkward encounters with adults that just like made me feel awkward about shit. And essentially, like, my experience in Hawaii was so profound and damaging that it literally annihilated who I was as a person. I came back with no memory of before or even during. So like, I essentially, like, it was not until I felt safe enough in life that I was able to, like, even begin figuring out who I was. I existed for much of my life as a reflection of what others needed in order to make sure I survived. You'll forgive me. I don't talk this much, generally. I mean, like, when I do talk, I ramble. Oh, shit, it's, like, dark. We're, like, dark. We need, like, a light. Daddy made you some... I'm sorry. I don't want to hug it to death. Anyway, let me put this light up here so we're a little higher. That's not any better. Is that better? Is that cooler? No. I don't look any neater. Anyway, y'all are fine. So anyway, not daddy? What? Wait. I got way too... Yeah, Drake. Okay, that's a great question. Okay. You mean everyone who gays makes a noise. Is bi shouting acceptable? What's daddy? I don't know. Anyway, so where the fuck was I? Not daddy mixed me up. Corinna, do whatever you want. So yeah, that's what Do It Again's about. How long have we been doing this? Holy shit. Only 37 minutes? Cool, not bad. What does anybody want to hear about next? Ooh, I got some. Let me turn on a light. Hey, look, I'm an adult. What do you know? What the fuck, guys? Yeah, what do you guys want to hear next? Refresh chat. What are y'all fucking around with? Does it work? How are you supposed to do this? Is this like a... Am I doing alright, guys? Is this alright for whatever the hell? Like, we'll get some music going next time. Could we hear about the press war? Yes. Alright, Derek 5. The press war. So, some of the lyrics I had written a little bit... I'd written some secrets about... Or written some secrets. That is an interesting Freudian slip, isn't it? I had written some songs about... some lyrics about sort of like sketchy behavior I see in men. And then I met someone in my life who'd been raped, and the song is about the social fallout of that. I've written about the social fallout of that several times. Yeah, so that's what that song's about. Yeah, so gentlemen, let's consent is important. For my money, it is the defining and probably only real difference between us and most other mammal, or like most other animals whose behavior we've been able to like vaguely interpret, is consent. It's super important. If you don't... 1 in 3 non-men are the victim of sexual assault in their lifetime. That's not a great number, which means in likelihood you know someone who's been affected by it. So if you hear jokes, if you hear weird bullshit, call it out, man. It's the only way we're going to fix it. Yeah, that's what the press war is about. We could be a lot better in that regard. So that's what that was about. I just wrote my reflections on that and sort of several viewpoints, several like physical, literal perspectives in that song. And yeah, that's what that's about. That's actually a song that we worked on after like we became the band, because I didn't really find out about that until after the band had started, I think. I do have several brain injuries, and it was 15 years ago, so I could be wrong. But yeah, that's basically what that's about. I'm sorry if it gets weird. I'm sorry if it gets weird. I'm sorry if that was weird. I don't fucking care. You're gonna listen. Wait till we get to I wish more people gave a shit. So, so we do have a question here. So that's what the press war is about. It's pretty simple. We started we started Ryan Sherrill, bless his heart, the man that convinced me to join this band, or join what eventually became this band, and the only reason any of this started, really, he just came up with that little riff, and we went on it, and we went straight to it. Things have always come together pretty quickly for the band as far as like songs go. Like I have ideas, or like there's a little riff involved, and we just make it happen. We don't have B-sides. They don't exist. You know, all the songs on the new record, those were all the ideas I had. All the songs on this record, those are all the ideas we have. So I feel very fortunate and not very musician-like in that way, which is why I hesitate to call myself a musician. Cutting back to the chat. I have great hair, don't I? No, I have no idea. Because I Spit Hot Fire is from Chappelle's show. Muscular Pants. Yes, it is. Sort of. So while we were writing, one of the places where we wrote music, Ryan's parents. There's something under this mat, or there's like a little lump. Anyway, sorry. Ryan's mom had like a spot near in like Delaware that we could write at. You do, my man. Spot we could write at, and like we'd already written through the song, and we were like getting ready to record it. I think we're getting ready to record with Trevor Simpson. Yeah, Right Recordings, fantastic dude. Long-time writing partner. It's been a while since we spoke. He's living that life out in California. Good for him. We'll talk more about him in a little bit. Anyway, because Spit Hot Fire is, I told you it was sort of the very beginning, the very first song I worked on. And that's, again, just about, like, what I was doing during that time. Just being, like, extremely nervous on the inside. Drinking a fuck ton. To really... I've said this before, but most people talk about drinking to forget or to, like, escape. Like, I drank to become present. Like, I could just turn all of this off. And it was there. And it worked. So naturally, I gravitated towards it. I didn't really start smoking any, like, pot until I was well into my 30s. I smoked pot once with these girls. I think I had, like, crushes on all of them in one way or another. Like they got me high like near water in Dundalk or something. I have no idea how we got there. But I just remember like them getting me high and me being like laid out on the ground for a while. And then just like never having experience again until I was like 30. No, I mean I definitely smoked like before I quit drinking as well. But not in a way that was productive. So I Spit on Fire is again just about that like deep, aggressive shame of existence and sort of like being the other man in situations. That was a pretty... Yeah, I allowed myself to be undervalued a lot growing up. Yeah, interestingly enough. Not interestingly enough. Who's fucking surprised? Yeah, that's an important thing to realize. Like, you're likely undervaluing yourself. And that's not to say, like, leave the one you're with, but... as cliche as it is, a woman named Tara gave me a book called The Perks of Being a Wallflower when I was 18 or 19. And it was sort of, like, one of the first times, like, that I had, like, really... realized the extent of what happened to me when I was kidnapped. And it really pushed me on this path towards, like, better understanding myself and sort of, like, my own behavior and the way I think, and thereby for, like, everyone else's behavior, and the way, like, we all think, and how I became so interested in people and sort of how I began, like, thinking about stuff like I do, lyrically. Yeah, it's just because I Spit on Fire. What else we got? What y'all got questions in here? Y'all got comments? Y'all are so nice. Hell yeah, the inhale at the start of the song. Yes, you are correct. I remember deciding to do that inhale very specifically. I don't know why. We've been talking for a while. I love it. Cool. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I keep like refreshing the chat. I feel like I'm talking so much, and honestly so fast, that it's hard to be like, I want to ask a question about that. I'm going to work on that as we go. All right, let's talk about The Rent is Due. So The Rent is Due I wrote when I was 18 years old. I had just gotten back from, I went to visit my friend Melissa in Springfield, Massachusetts at Winnick, so Western New England College. And I met my lovely girl named Katie, who has become my best friend. We've known each other since we were both 18 years old. Yeah, and it was just I was very struck by Katie for a while. Like she's a nice sweetheart, but we've evolved into incredible, just the best of friends. And that song's about her. And sort of like meeting a person. Like The Rent is Due, I remember. Like when we wrote it in our original bassist Dan's basement. It was just like concrete room that I was sleeping in because I had just gotten kicked out of. This is bringing back so many memories. I was like sleeping in his basement in like not like the garage, but they had like a wet room or something. I was like sleeping in there, and like we were writing in there, and Derek, take care. But yeah, so we're writing in there, and I remember Dan or somebody, I think it might have been Dan, being like, we got to write a pop song, like The Rent is Due. Like because like we had a van, we had bills to pay, like we're adults. I'm homeless. I'm sleeping in somebody's basement. I'm rambling. So yeah, we popped that song through. Yeah, I wrote those lyrics when I was 18. We ended up using them in a song when I was 21 or 22 or 20. I can't remember how old am I now? 22. We just wrote that song. It was pretty cut and dry. Nothing too crazy about it. I remember while we were recording it, because like as things like progress with the band, it's become like more and more, the songs and sort of like vocal layerings and yada yada has become like more complex at times. And I remember like distinctly feeling like this song was incredibly straightforward, which was fine. Like on beats weren't my thing yet. Like the music to this was very much written like all together as a group, which was like the way we did that. And then actually like moving on. And we spent like a lot of time like talking on the phone because I was like fucking basically homeless and I didn't have any friends. I didn't have great friends growing up. So I didn't really have anybody. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I guess it was honestly just Ashley and Katie that I was ever able to talk to about anything. Those are the only two people that aside from my before meeting my wife and like meeting good people, because I learned to like expect more of others in relation to myself. Like I got picked on a lot, and I was kind of like the friend that everyone tolerated. I didn't really get the vibe that anybody really liked me. Moving on. What do we got? What do we got left? So it's 2006, 2007. What else we got? We talked about Carolina Heat. We talked about The Rent is Due. Look, I got everything queued up for everybody. Just didn't work. Talked about Do It Again. I think all we got to talk about is Dirty Laundry, which I have a very specific memory for that. And we have Living the Dream to do. Am I correct about that? Somebody tell me in the chat if I'm wrong. Skip it to off topic. Are you good at remembering fans you've met at shows years ago? Tell you where I'm from. What? Muscular Pants. You have dreadlocks? You're a buff dude? You live in fucking like Nebraska, I think it is? Maybe Iowa. Get at me, dog. There is a song floating around YouTube called Bones. We did write that song. I have a very visual memory. Oklahoma, that's it. You've seen us in Nebraska though. I know what I'm talking about. I remember you being like, we drove 7 hours for this shit. Because we've only played in Oklahoma like twice, and you've seen us like 4 or 5 times. Anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So, Dirty Laundry was actually the song that came next. So the band has started, like, we've written all these songs. What's been going on in the band since its inception, we've gotten calls. We've met with Hopeless Records. We've met with Fearless Records. We've met with Drive Thru. We've met, you can go on. We once, just like a lot of shit happened, like, all at once, and, honestly, none of us knew who we were, and, it's good that nothing came of any of that. So, we're in the process of, like, writing all this stuff and, like, getting things together, and I remember being on tour as Underscore, like the band that we were before You Me happened, and being in like a roller rink that we were playing, like nobody came to. Yes, Fartland. I'll do that. And I remember just writing that. I remember just thinking. I remember the original sort of melody, not the original melody, like the original chorus, like, it's getting aired, and with heavy rotation, like that thing. I remember at the time, like, Puff Daddy had a song out that was talking about something heavy rotation, and I was like, that's a cool little idea, so, like, I was running with it a little bit, so, like, that happened there, but yeah, very much started sort of, it was like about myself, sort of like calling out myself and others. I've always took a lot of time, we'll talk about in a minute, and a busload of bees. I like that. A busload of bees. So, Dirty Laundry, yeah, I was just sort of like calling myself and others just about shit in like private lives, me not thinking very much of myself, like others not thinking very much of other people, for silly reasons or dumb reasons. So yeah, we wrote that happened. I was starting to become cognizant of like how tired and how like is Ben okay I looked. And I just remember like not thinking and remember feeling like I looked a lot like my father. Like shit. I remember remembering like how like just like constantly in a swirl of trauma I was without even knowing it. Or like knowing it but not like understanding it. Now I can just sort of like let it all whiz by. It's not distracting me as much anymore. Aside from like leading to this dysautonomia. And I talked earlier about how I forget what I'm saying, right? Anyway, there's a couple questions in the chat, so let's get them. We're not gonna record Bones, Danny. You're good. I'm not actually yelling at you. Can we talk about the timeline of the original Party release? Yeah, so the original release. So what's happened? Let me think. Like I'm all like girlfriend and I are living together at this point. Like I'm traveling back and forth from DC to practice like 3 days a week. So I need to shave. Like I got like this. I hate shaving. I hate it. I don't like that it's a thing I have to do. Like man, I just like and I barely like it just grows. Like there's nothing valuable here. Anyway, I was like commuting like 5 or 6 hours each way, like taking mass transit from Towson, Maryland, all the way to DC. That's a lot of connections. Like, while I'd be waiting for the bus in Towson, like, people used to stop and ask me if I knew where the courthouse was. And, like, I did, but fuck, just because I'm at a bus stop? So, like, but yeah, so I was traveling a lot, and I remember constantly, like, I never like toured or like recorded in any real way or like had like responsibilities, but I immediately noticed, like, how fucking late musicians are. Like, you used to get to recording sessions, like, 2 hours late. Oh, guys, I don't know if anybody noticed, but this is the original collage for Something Heavy. Y'all can look at that later. We'll pull it up when we get to that release. So anyway, yeah, y'all are so late. Like, we'd just be waiting and waiting. Like, how the fuck haven't you showered, bro? We said 8. 8. Not 9. Not, like, get up at 8. So anyway, we'd show up late as shit. Trevor, bless his heart, would be like, let's go. So we'd, like, get it all done. It took us a while to record because we're broke. Like, 2 of us were homeless. Like, me and Ryan, we were both sleeping at the same place. Like, being like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Like, at the time, like, I got a job down there, like washing hair at a salon. That was nice. That was, like, a nice part of old ladies' days. It was a cool thing. I enjoyed it. Yeah, like, it took a while to record. And then the original EP, like, I designed myself. No, that's not true. I had one of the... I think it was one of the guys in, like, My Favorite Highway designed the artwork. Like, did up the design for me. And then, yeah, and we pressed it through Furnace Manufacturing. And we sold a bunch of those. Like, we were touring with, like, the Track Record and the Spotlight. Lots of the bands. That's a dysautonomia burp. That's me breathing into my tummy. Oh, they're men. Of course. But anyway. So yeah, we released that. Like, I even, like, my girlfriend and I, like, we even made shirts that said, like, grown and sexy, and then, like, if you weren't... Oh, so yeah, the name of the album itself, let's do that real quick, came from a flyer I found outside of the night, like, the Taxlow thing. I found a flyer and said, Party for the Grown and Sexy. I think I found it the night I almost died from taking diet pills, which was, like, while we were doing all this. I survived, but accepted my death as I lost consciousness, which was weird. So yeah, it's been a life. And just the 2 of us. And then, what the fuck? Yeah, we slowly got it done. We got that recorded. And then, like, we had these other 2 songs, and this guy, Danny Sellis, who was in, like, Stars Under Fire? Stars Across Fire? They were, like, a DC band that had some heat. They were on I Surrender, I believe, for a little bit. Stars Hide Fire. Something like that. Anyway, cool song. But he was like, let me manage y'all. And, like, the rest of the band was like, cool. And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I'm just sad and drunk. Like, I just make like, you just tell me when I can go to sleep. So he was like, what are y'all doing? So he, like, sent them to a bunch of people, and then a bunch of people got interested in us, and then Hopeless Records basically told me we were too poor to be a band. So I got pissed off, and I wrote Living the Dream about it. Sort of, like, it happened right around my birthday. Yeah, like that conversation happened, and then, you know, I remember, like, just being up late one night, like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing? I remember being in my girlfriend's place, which is like my place. It was definitely her place. Like, just sitting at a computer, just staring at the screen. Just like, how do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? Like, what's going on? Like, let's assess my life. What's up? You know? And we get into, like, you know, yesterday I turned 23. You know, date didn't mean much to me. Like, I don't really celebrate my birthday. You know, like, if people say happy birthday, I'm not going to be shitty about it. But, like, I don't celebrate my birthday. Like, I'm just like, it's just a day. You know? I don't need to get off work or do anything crazy. A carrot cake is nice. Maybe an ice cream cake if you want to get farty. Do I remember coming to Indy? Yeah, it was at that giant place, like the Marquee Theater. It was huge. There were like 4 people there. I was like, why this venue? Like, we could play somewhere a little smaller, but it's fine. So yeah, living the dream, you know. and I started adding figures up in my head. It appears the cost of dreaming has left me in the red. Like, just getting into sort of assessing my life. Because of alcohol, I've shared 16 beds. Like, at that point, I'd slept with 16 different women, which, like, there's no context or number to that. It's just a thing. Like, I felt weird about it. Because, like, it's just weird, man. So much of my life wasn't really on my terms. So much of my life so far hasn't really been on my terms. Or in, like, a ton of negotiation. It's strange, We're conditioned to feel the way about ourselves we do. It's not us that decides that. But we're growing, and that's a lot of what this record's about. We came to Canada once. Did someone say getting farty? Ooh! Yeah, Hoosier Dome. That place. Wait, Hoosier Dome's cool. I like Hoosier Dome, but not that giant place in Indiana. Like the huge theater. Hoosier Dome is cool. I like Hoosier Dome. Did we come to Canada? We've come to Canada twice? Twice or once? One time we tried to go. Oh yeah, one time we tried to go to Canada, and we couldn't because we didn't have the paperwork for the trailer. Like, they didn't let us through. Or no. No. It was one of our guitarists had a DUI, and we didn't find, like, he didn't tell us we got the border because they were like, we can't go, got DUI. So we're like, all right, we're gonna hang out. And then the next time, one of the dudes in Future Crooks, AJ Peacocks, learned the guitar parts, and we played in Toronto with, I think it was it was Future Crooks, and no, Toronto. It would have been a good show at Light Pacific. Fuck, I wish we could have played in Canada with them. And Daisy Head, boom, that's who it was. So yeah, played that gig. Bunch of dudes got super high, and then we drove back, and then that's our Canada story. So yeah, 11,000 people think I'm something I'm not. That's a MySpace reference. Cry about it. I just figured it was a good way to cover it up. I actually thought a lot about that, because one of the things that bothers me is, like, popular culture, like, terms in songs that, like, sort of, like, date them too hard, if that makes sense. Did someone say get it for? Okay, still the same place. Okay, cool. So, like, when someone says, like, cellular phone, or, like, if someone says MySpace in a song, that feels really tacky to me. I don't know why. Like, if you do it, cool. But I just don't do it. It makes me feel weird. It makes me feel cringy. So I found a creative way to express that. Like, a bunch of people think I'm this, like, singer. But I'm just this dude. Like, look at me. I'm everybody that's never made it. I was just abused enough that I make good music. So yeah, living the dream because of alcohol. 5-year reunion hanging over my head. As we age, that's something I've still got. So what happens is, you can't afford to live like this. Hopeless is like, well, what are you gonna do if you need to, like, come to LA for a show? And I was like, you pay for it. That's what I thought labels did. What I learned now, what labels do, as TikTok via Vince Staples has also told me, most labels act as basically a loan that charges you 3 times that amount. So be smart with your shit. Yeah. So basically, I was like, you guys, you help, and they were like, nope, that's not like what labels do. We're not gonna be able to help out in that way. I was like, or you book we book a tour so we can get out there. We set the date. So I was really angry about that because I was friggin' homeless and trying my best. Like, several of my bandmates were in a lot more better of a position than me, which is fine. Like, I wasn't resentful about it at all. But like, reality is reality. Like, I'm making great music. That's, like, the one thing I was like, if we're gonna do this, the music we make has to be undeniable. You may not like the kind of music it is, but you will respect the execution. So I was very frustrated. Like, they said that themselves. The music's great. You just don't know who you are. And then we met the fucking terrible, evil Richard Raines. Him and his awful, wicked witch stepsister. So we meet them in New York, and they say things to the band like, "We'll get you on tour with Hello Goodbye. You'll open for New Found Glory." And like, my bandmates with stars in their eyes were like, "Yeah, sign me up." Quickly turns into a toxic relationship. They're telling people one thing, they're telling us another, yada yada yada. It sucks. They suck. But the great idea they have. They're like, nobody's buying music at this point. Like, we're all pretty fucked. And this is even back then, before Spotify, when we were all just downloading shit like it was the Wild Wild West. That's such a stupid expression. It was so much more organized than we think it was. Why do I care about that? But, yeah, so that happens, and we're like, why don't we just give it away? So we give it away, and one of the good things that they did was they did put like a link to a download link with our album art right on the front page of Drive-Thru's website, which was cool. You know, that was cool. I don't know if it outweighed telling people that we were signed to Rushmore and telling people they were managing us, so nobody could get anything out of us but them, with the hopes that I wrote a song about sex because teens love it. So yeah, and that, you know, right around that time also, like, people were like, these guys sound just like Say Anything, and I was like, a little poppier. But yeah, like, you know, I've said it before, like, Israel Boy and I Get Wet are probably like two great sonic summaries of the band if you combine those two together. So like, who's your dumb? Hell yeah. Thanks for chat, y'all. So anyway, so yeah, we put all this out. I think we gave away 75,000 copies of that album in like a 2-month period. No, I'm sorry, like a 2-week period. And then we took it down and like sold it on the road. And then it slipped out in an email that if the band was going to sign to anybody, it was going to be Drive-Thru Records. So then we fired Richard and Stephanie, and in that conversation, he said he was going to let us go anyway. That's cool, either way. And yeah, that's sort of like right as we're like getting to the place where we're like starting to write So Young, So Insane. So that sort of like brings us to the end of my like long ranting spiel about Party for the Grown and Sexy. Like, do you guys have any questions, any like thoughts or concerns? Like, yeah, like, let's chat for a while. Like, if you had any thought, any like, yeah, I'm hanging out for a second. Yeah, Katie. Yeah, we were. I remember this guy Ryan. Ryan, he used to like, he was a contributor for Absolute Punk, which is like a website where music happened, y'all. Where he talked about music. It's called Chorus.fm now. It was a much bigger deal in the mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s, and yeah, I remember like, I can't remember how it happened, but I remember like, either he messaged, like, somebody messaged someone, and he like threw us in his like weekly recommendations, and like that was like, boom, we got it, we were in. And then like we put out we did like the download we were like on like a couple people's like, no, not maybe Ryan Gardner, Blonde. If Ryan Gardner's Blonde, then maybe. But I could be remembering this person wrong entirely, but I think it was Ryan. Yeah, it just sort of clicked. Like, I think for a long time we were talked a lot about online, but but we weren't like drawing as much as people expected, given. What is that noise? Oh, it's just my AC. Given what No, that's not true. We were drawing well. It's just the fact that, like, I'm kind of... You know everybody's hair color, Jake. Is the song the record begin? Yes, A Busload of Bees it is. Like, at least, like, that part. Like, because the point, A Busload of Bees, is of that. Like, that is a song... Like, that song itself is a song of rebellion. Interestingly enough, that is like the prelude to one of the songs on the new album, featuring Spanish love songs. I think it might be raining really hard. Maybe that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, I'm hearing some wind. So yeah, it clicked for a while. But yeah, so I've been kind of shut out by the music industry because I've been counted out a lot. Primarily because, like, look at me. And, like, I'm not, like, your typical, like, type A singer type dude. One of the strengths of this band is also its weakness. Is, like, we tend to be the exception for people as far as, like, bands or, like, music they listen to. Like, most people don't listen to... People that listen to the genre that we get associated with, that we're associated with, don't tend to listen to us. And people that don't tend to listen to the genre we're associated with do. So it's, like, tough. It's tough. As someone who is new to your music, oh, sweet. How would you describe your sound? I would say I can't pronounce that Bakrakai. I would say our Rathleen, we'll talk about that next week. Rathleen asked, how did we get Max Bemis on the track? And we're going to talk about that next Sunday when we meet to listen through and discuss So Young, So Insane. So I can tell you that the Max discovered the band through the drive-through, through, like, the band's EP being on the front of Drive-Thru Records. At the time, like, we were being compared to them, and the hard-to-pronounce name asked, like, how do we describe our sound? Yeah, it's coming down now. I would say, like, it's a combination of if you distill it down, it could be like Andrew WK's I Get Wet plus Say Anything's Is a Real Boy plus, like, music your mom listens to while she was cleaning the house on Sundays. Like, that's the best. I'm glad I kept going too. We can talk about that. I'm talking about Max, checking the chat. We've been here. Max was and is a fan. You can actually, if you're smart, you can find a cover of. You can find Max Bemis doing a cover of "Living the Dream" on the Party for the Grown and Sexy and So Young, So Insane vinyl out through Brain Fart. Tune Time Records. My brain, I gotta look it up. Sorry. Enjoy the Ride! God, yeah. Enjoy the Ride. They got a second label that does, like, movie soundtracks and stuff, too. But yeah, saw Young Houston, do a big fan. Buy some merch, meet y'all. Said, hey, man, you were really going crazy out there. I appreciate it, man. Hell yeah. I'm so glad you came. We're going to be playing in Texas. So here's the thing that's going to change. The album art for Spotify is different than the album art. So Platycat, the reason that the album art is different is I wanted to avoid Richard and Steph at all costs. And I would have had to contact them or someone associated with them to get that original album art. That's not even actually the original album art. I didn't realize until, like, last year, the year before, that those are, like, stacks of poker chips on the album cover. And I think it's because Richard was such a big gambler. I remember one night drinking lots of, as he made sure to tell me, $300 bottles of wine at his house, and whooping him and all his friends at poker while I was just super hammered. So I'm sure he felt very respected in that moment. Yeah. Side note, I have a video now and you're looking good. Oh, sweet. I know the feeling like shit was... Yeah. I don't feel like shit. Like, it's just sort of a constant state all the time. So it's a thing I live with, and I'm pretty okay with. But there are times it gets frustrating, and you just sort of like grieve the loss of sort of independence. I'm in a very constantly in a pretty vulnerable place. So what's going to be different about shows moving forward is like, because I don't know what my ability to play more than one show is in a row. We're going to be announcing some shows in the coming weeks, and there's sort of going to be regional one-offs. So say that we announced a show in Chicago on maybe like the second weekend of October or something. Like if you live in Michigan, Indiana, or like if you're really down, like Minneapolis or like Missouri, who knows, I would come to that show because we're not going to be touring for a little while. Yes, I'm very much still trying to get the rest of the Dogged records from South by Sea. I'm waiting to hear back from Brandon about it. We'll talk about Dogged in a couple of weeks. So let me think. We're going to be doing Philly, Ohio. Maybe Ohio. That's a big friggin' maybe. I'm trying to play a show with the Orphan the Poet where they like headline. I'm tired of... It's their turn to play last. I want to play less songs and be less sweaty. So yeah, we're going to be playing regional shows. So think Chicago, think New York, think Philadelphia, think like Dallas, Houston, think Los Angeles, think Chicago. We'll hit Florida in the winter because I have a intolerance to heat. Part of the dysautonomia is like my temperature regulation's all messed up. So I got to go places where it's hot when it's not as hot. So like Florida in the winter. There's a question on here. So Josh Crow says, serious question now, because I love Party for the Grown and Sexy, but it seems like a lot of bands kind of shy away from their early catalog as they evolve as a band. How do you feel overall about that album all these years later? I don't think So, how do I feel about this record 15 years on? I think that, to me, it holds up as like a great marker at where I was in my songwriting, in my life. My music is a lot more autobiographical than most sort of like bands at that time. Like you're writing songs about girls and just, or maybe you weren't writing from as vulnerable of a place, or maybe you weren't writing with the understanding that nobody was going to hear your shit, and it didn't become apparent that you were going to have to confess for the rest of your career until it was already out. No, I'm not doing any anniversary merch because maybe I'll put something out cool this year. Who knows? We'll see how buy the new stuff first to Busload Bees. So probably not Canada. Maybe Canada. Katie ACW. I gotta get vaguely healthy first. Vaguely healthy. So like it's at least gonna be next year. But we're gonna be playing like 4 or 5 shows. Like I've already announced a show here in Lancaster. If y'all feel like hanging out, we'll be headlining. That'll be fun. Yeah. What's the closest you're gonna get to visiting in Minnesota? It's Chicago. Yeah, unfortunately, it's gonna be Chicago. And I hate the heat too. Oh, it's not hating that. I'll literally pass out. It's like I can't regulate my temperature. No, I know Houston's humid, but like during the winter, it's better. So we might do that. Also might be a little healthier by then. You know, I've been able to like sort of like do more and more over the last like month or two. I've adjusted a little bit. Houston is humid. Ever thought about making a Patreon? Platycat, I've considered it, yeah, but part of what I need to make sure is that like I have a bad habit of like over promising and under delivering, or like I want to make sure I don't do that. I also like take a while to write, because I write differently than most. And yeah, I just want to make sure like content is consistent, I guess, if that makes sense. But I think we're about to that place where we figured out how to like make it function a little more consistently. Fartland says, do you think you're ready? Yeah, my writing mindset is totally different. I know, but like, so Fartland asks, do you think your writing mindset is different these days? Whereas with Party, you mentioned thinking no one would ever hear the songs, versus now you know there's a fan base that's going to listen. So my mindset is different, but I guess my philosophy is the same. I think sorry, I just thought of I think exposing myself is important. Sorry. I think being vulnerable is important. And I've learned, I've come to understand that like my own sharing our suffering lessens our suffering. There's like a lot of value in that. Like many hands make light work. So yeah, it has changed. But like I like that now. Like I like it. I like challenging myself and sort of, and I think I've really scraped the bottom of that trauma bowl, with this new record. So we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, I still think the songs hold up. I think my approach and mindset is different, but the philosophy is the same. My mindset is more about listening than creating, if that makes sense. Yeah. What kind of tour? Oh, shit. So anyway, yeah. So, this is like last call. Any other questions? Anybody got anything they want to say or they want to ask before we call it a night? I figure we keep this to 90 minutes. No need to get that crazy. But yeah, I hope you've all had a good time. We'll actually have music on the next episode. And as we sort of get further in the catalog, you'll be introduced to some other characters. We're gonna play a few more songs. Again, I'm tired this week because I worked a lot for the state of my condition. So we sort of I didn't figure that out. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you just a couple things like pre-order the new record and the new merch. That's like how this band continues to exist. So please, like literally supporting the band financially is super important if you want to continue the music. If you want the music to continue, because it's especially after the last year and a half. But yeah, so like Something Heavy and Dragged Across Concrete are available on streaming services now. The new record is going to be out September 17th. Please, you guys are. Did you put the bell on the Tombstone shirt just in case you didn't want to make a comeback? I think I did it subconsciously, Trash Flower. I think I did it subconsciously. I think I might have even said to Nick Farron, who's designed most of our shit, most of the stuff since I've sobered up. He is a hero and a saint. Yeah, so I think I might have been like, just in case. I'm an idiot. But yeah, tell people about this band. People that may have forgotten about the band. You are my marketing team, essentially. You are the people that spread the word about this. So please do that. Again, we're going to meet back here next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. This has been recorded and should be available. Let's say Thursday, so we could do like a. I don't know why I got so into the mic like this. Like this is like boomer talk. Maybe Thursday, so that we can do like a last time on Sunday night something. But yeah, look forward to this continuing between now and September 19th. And then after the 19th, we'll continue this, but we'll be doing something different each week. So yeah, let's see, any more questions? It doesn't look like it. So thank you guys for being here tonight, and I'll see you next week. Y'all take care. You mean everyone we know. Something Heavy, September 17th.